Have you ever considered diving into the world of influencer marketing as a business and a way to market your business? I'm going to give you my thoughts on exactly the best ways to go about this and how to make it effective for your marketing as a business owner, coming from the perspective of someone who has owned a business and owned a business first, and then now has become a content creator who works with brands. So I'm super excited to dive into all of this and to kind of break this down for you guys if it's something that you're interested in doing. The first step is to identify who exactly you want to work with, right? It's really important here to research and identify influencers that align with your brand values, that have your target audience, are within the niche or industry that you're hoping to target, right? And that can be from an audience perspective of like, who are their audience, and if you're trying to reach more of their type of audience, or it could be like, for example, if you sell home decor, finding someone who has a home related account, right? But I will also say that sometimes finding maybe finding a mom influencer and giving her some of your home decor or collaborating with her in that way can almost be more effective because she's not constantly already sharing a bunch of different brands, and there's a little less competition almost for what her followers might be interested in from her. So look for influencers that have an engaged, authentic following, right? So not ones who are paying for followers here, which is probably pretty obvious. You want people who are real followers of their account and have high quality content. So I do think that the content they create for you can be just as valuable as them sharing to their own audience. Even from the perspective of, for me as an influencer, I'm making sure I'm creating content that's also very shareable for the brand to share on their own platforms and giving them essentially user-generated content that they can share. I think that's something that's important to keep in mind as a brand. Like, not all of the value is just in them sharing to their audience. And while it can be great for brand awareness or for driving sales, there's also something to be said about having more content for you to share across your different platforms, right? And then this kind of goes into my next point. And once you figure out who you want to work with, right, and who are the right kinds of people that you want to work with for your business and all of that, you need to make sure you figure out what are you comfortable offering and get clear on what you want to offer to the influencers you want to work with. Do you want to do paid collaborations, essentially giving them money to post, right, like sponsor content? Do you want to do exchange collaborations where you give them something for free in exchange for a certain number of posts? Do you want to do affiliate marketing? So they sign up for an affiliate program, you get commissions from that. Do you want to do user-generated content? So maybe it doesn't even matter if they have a big platform. Like, they're just creating content for you to post. There's pros and cons about a lot of these, but I wanted to give my personal take on doing each of these and where I think it can be beneficial, where I see a lot of pitfalls, or just from the influencer side, like what we get pitched a lot and what doesn't seem as attractive to want to do when we're working with brands. So first of all, if you're wanting to do exchange collaborations, so if you're giving them a product or a service in exchange for posting, be realistic here about who you're going to work with, okay? So for example, if you are giving away a, let's say, $50 home decor product and an influencer has 100,000 followers and you want them to post on their stories and a feed post, you're probably not going to get that, right? Because their following is larger and they're able typically to charge a good amount for collaborations, and the amount of the product or service that you're offering is worth $50. But as another example, maybe you own an Airbnb company and you could offer them a stay that's worth $2,000 or $3,000 in exchange for one feed post. That is a lot more valuable for the creator, who maybe they don't typically take on exchange collaborations, but they would be willing to take on something like that because the value that they're getting is very similar to what they would actually charge, right? And so just be realistic here. If you do have a lower priced item, you might be thinking about, okay, I might have to do paid collaborations for the larger creators, or finding a lot of micro influencers that I can give my product for free and they would be willing to post, right? And so that kind of moves me into my thoughts on paid collaborations or paid user generator content. I will say, well, first of all, okay, so going back to when we talked about exchange collaborations, I guess I should mention first, the second one here that kind of goes along with exchanges that is typically offered a lot is affiliate marketing. Essentially where they can sign up for your affiliate program, they get a kickback if they share. And I will say, when it comes to getting free products and affiliate marketing opportunities, we get these requests daily DMs, daily emails of people wanting to send us free products, of people wanting us to sign up for their affiliate company. And honestly, I don't even read most of those emails because I get so many of them. And the only reason that I would be interested in a new affiliate partnership or in getting an exchange is one, like I mentioned, the value of the exchange is similar to the value of what I would actually charge another brand, because it also needs to be fair to those brands, right, that are willing to pay me to post. But the other option too would be it's a very organic fit. The commission payouts are actually good. Like I've signed up for affiliate programs where I get like 10% of a sale, and most of their products are like $50. So I'm lucky if I get $5 per sale. And so I have to work really hard to actually make a good amount of money from that, versus there's other products where they give me literally $50, $100 per sale. That's a lot more of an incentive for me to want to share about that product, especially if it's an organic fit and it resonates well with my audience, than the one that's a very low payout. Okay, so just thinking about that and make sure you consider most influencers, especially ones that probably have over 10,000 followers, are getting daily requests to sign up for people's affiliate programs or to do an exchange post. So it needs to definitely stand out and be an organic fit if you are reaching out to a larger creator. And the incentive needs to be good for the affiliate marketing piece of it. And it needs to actually be something that's going to be worth my time to push and to add into the things that I push, right? Okay, so then moving into the paid collaboration part, paid collaboration or paid user-generated content, I would say going this route, there's a couple of pros. Obviously, the con, you could say, is that you're having to pay extra for them to create the content, post the content. But I will say that whenever I have a paid collaboration, I am typically way more motivated to actually create really awesome content for the brand. Like, I am not going to create subpar content here, right? I'm making sure that the brand's happy. You're getting a review of the content before I post it. You get to give creative direction and what you want from the content. Usually when you do a paid collab too, you own like the rights to the content a lot of times. Or you can buy the rights to the content. So you're able to use it in your paid advertising across different social platforms. And so there's just a lot of longevity, a lot more ways you could use content like on your own website versus trying to do a bunch of exchange collabs where you don't have those same rights to use the content. So there's definitely a lot of pros here. And in general, again, I think you're going to get better content if you are willing to pay for it and create those awesome relationships. And I really do think too that on long term, I didn't even include this in my notes, but long-term relationships, like long partnerships, so ones that go on for months or include multiple posts over a certain amount of time, typically do better than like one-off partnerships, at least in my experience, in the success for the brand, in their brand awareness. A lot of times it takes so many times of people becoming aware of the product to actually make a purchase. And that kind of moves me into my third point here in establishing clear objectives and marketing goals for your brand partnerships. It's really important that you clearly define what you want for yourself, like what you're looking for, and they can communicate that to the influencers that you collaborate with. And I think there's a few main goals that you could have, but there's so many different goals, obviously, you could have for your brand with this, that it could be brand awareness, driving direct sales, or increased traffic to your own social platforms, gaining followers from that, right? And so setting measurable goals can help you kind of see where you're at as far as your influencer marketing and what you're getting out of that, right? And this could be things like number of impressions, engagement rate, referral traffic that you're getting, link clicks, and what you can expect to see from the collaboration. Again, this also could mean asking for certain insights from influencers before you work with them. And just remember too, though, something that I think is really important, that the best brands I've worked with really understand this, is that remember the importance of the non-measurable goals too, which kind of goes back to brand awareness mostly. Like there have been brands I've worked with that are very, very, very hung up on like the number of link clicks they want to get. And let's just be real, like if it's a paid sponsorship, it's really hard to have a lot of link clicks on that post. It's hard in general, but like especially if it's sponsored, people just know. And it's hard. So if you ever want to support your influencer friends, just click on all their links, okay? Just take the extra minute. It really does help us. But really, that brand awareness part, the best partnerships I've had is when they understand like just that brand awareness and people seeing their name, people seeing not only their like over and over from one influencer with a long-term partnership, seeing them talk about a brand over and over again is going to help build that trust. But if you can become like the it product in your category because you have multiple influencers sharing about your product in your category, because typically when you do a partnership too, one thing you want to keep in mind is exclusivity. So like, for example, like I worked with Dr. Brown's baby bottles, and they had exclusivity. Like I couldn't work with any other baby bottle brands while I was working with them. And so if you are in with a certain number of influencers and they're all talking about your brand in that category, and they have followers that probably overlap, right? That follow multiple of those influencers. That's where I've seen a lot of brands be able to use social media very, very well when they're able to do that, right? And to choose the right influencers to have long-term partnerships with and collaborate with multiple and really drive that brand awareness. And understand too that especially if your product or service is something people could go to a store and buy, I guess that's more for like bigger brands and not smaller brands, but that there's so much too to like seeing, okay, like maybe you did get some followers from a partnership, but maybe you didn't make sales from those followers until 6 months down the road. It's just really hard to measure exactly like how much you're getting from one partnership. And you can't just base it on link clicks. At least that's just my personal opinion, that brand awareness really matters a lot. And there's different people make decisions on what they're going to buy in different ways. And it's funny, I was just talking with one of my team members about this recently. In like, I make decisions I like to make fast decisions based on like what I think I need. Which I guess I haven't really fleshed that out too much. I probably should think about that more on like how I make decisions myself. But I'm not the kind of person that like looks to or remembers like, oh, this person uses this brand of baby bottles. Like that's what I'm going to use. Versus she's like, yeah, like I totally, when I go into a store and I see a brand and I know that someone I follow on Instagram talked about it recently, like I remember that and I'll pick it up because I remember them talking about it. I'm like, wow, like I just don't think about it that way, but people make decisions in such different ways that sometimes it's not going to be them clicking a link and making a sale right away, right? And so I just think it's important to remember those non-measurable outcomes as well, and making sure you're keeping that in mind in your brand partnerships, and that those long-term partnerships generally are going to do a lot better because people are going to see your brand with the same person over and over again. It's going to feel a lot more organic because of that. And then the fourth thing here, if you're looking into brand partnerships and building that out in your business, I think is really important to keep in mind is building genuine relationships. Again, the best partnerships, the best outcomes you're going to see is by building those genuine relationships with your influencers. Not only are they going to feel like they're well taken care of, that you're a great brand to work with, but it's also going to come out in the content they create, and they're going to genuinely love creating the content even better and want to work really hard to create great content for you, right? And to do it in a way that's going to drive the most results for you. And so this can also look like when you first approach influencers, do it in a really personalized and authentic way, right? Take the time to maybe engage with some of their content, to get a feel for what their brand is, to know what their brand is, enough to know if your product is actually an organic fit or not before reaching out and pitching to them. I feel like I get so many pitches from brands who obviously didn't even take the time to know my first name, okay? Like didn't even take the time to put my name in their email. And if I see an email like that, I won't even read it. Just being honest. Like I want you to know my first name, okay? So just take the time to actually look through their brand enough to know that. And I think there's also ways too, some of the like either brands that I've worked with or even great affiliate companies I'm a part of, they do a lot of things really well with providing them like exclusive access to things early, or giving them exclusive content, giving them different incentives during different promotional periods. So there's really a lot you can do there in building out a great program for your influencers that you work with, no matter how you're working with them. And again, I just can't emphasize enough that building long-term campaigns with the right influencers instead of one-off collaborations is often going to give you better results, unless a one-off collaboration just makes more sense. But I've just found that in the best partnerships that I've had, it's an ongoing relationship where we work together over and over again. And it just drives better results for them. And it also feels more organic for me to keep mentioning them in my videos, right? And for them to see better results as a result of that. So I hope this was a great starting base for you to get started with influencer marketing. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Comments on YouTube, you can email us. I'm more than happy to give my thoughts on anything that you're wondering, especially because I do have a unique perspective being an influencer who has worked with brands, but also owning a business. And from that perspective, like, okay, what makes sense here, right? So if you have any questions, anything specific, anything else you're wondering, feel free to reach out and ask. And as always, we drop new videos episodes on the podcast every single Tuesday. So if you subscribe on YouTube or subscribe to the podcast, either one or maybe both, you're going to stay up to date on all of our new content and make sure that you don't miss a single episode. So be sure to do that. Give us a thumbs up, rate the show, and I will see you guys next week on Tuesday with more content. Bye, guys.